sponsored program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
Welcome to Steer the Line, where every Friday we give you NFL analysis, fantasy football breakdowns, and sports betting previews. I'm Christian Giordani, joined alongside Loud Esmond and Rocky Giordani. Now let's get ready to Steer the Line. Welcome everyone to another episode of Steer the Line. It is a nice Friday evening. I'm joined by our usual host, Loud Esmond. And today we have a special guest on us, Sniper West from Winners and Winers Picks, a good friend of Loud Esmond. Loud, would you like to introduce Sniper West?
Yeah, Sniper West has been killing it, for the past, several days. Top capper last 7 days, top capper last 30 days, on top of the hot capper list. I didn't look this morning, but, you'd been absolutely dominating. It was crazy. You are on some kind of run, and it's multi-sport, right?
It is, man. I do everything. There's pretty much the only sport I don't do really is soccer, and I might even start doing that. I have some guys in Vegas who have, some sharp soccer guys, but yeah, baseball, WNBA, NFL, college football, UFC, MMA, absolutely. But I will say this, people like to say I'm on a hot streak. I say even a broken clock is right twice a day, and even a blind squirrel will find a nut every once in a while. So,
Well, I can tell you that sometimes it is just kind of dumb luck, because I got on this crazy. The first year Winners and Winers came to me and said, "Hey, we need you to handicap baseball." I'm like, that's not really my thing. And they're like, "Well, we really need you to do that so you keep active during the whole summer." And I'm like, "Okay." And everybody's like, "What do you mean you've never handicapped baseball?" Because I went the first couple weeks, I was like, I couldn't lose.
Yeah,
it was uncanny. But then, of course, the true colors showed, and I dropped well below 50% for the season that year. I've gotten better since. Hockey season has started, so I'm not handicapping hockey yet, but I'm starting to watch games. I've got the Carolina and Tampa on. So I've been watching that. Harvard and Cornell, snooze. That was the early football game. We've got a couple of late games tonight. We've got one kicking off in a few minutes in college football. The Northwestern Wildcats at Maryland Terrapins. And then later, Arizona is hosting Utah.
Arizona State and Utah.
Arizona State hosting Utah. And there's one other game in between there, and that is
UNLV and Utah State.
Utah State. So both the Utahs are going tonight.
Yeah.
Let's get those out of the way first. This is, after all, a betting show. Have you any thoughts on the two Utah games? It's the Utah Utes and the Utah State Aggies.
Yes, indeed. But I will give you those thoughts in about 20 seconds. But I will say go Dodgers, because we are about the first pitch. Right. First pitch is about to happen here in about 2 or 3 minutes. So I will give my best wishes to Yamamoto, and I hope we do very well. And I hope we.
Whoa. The guy who bombed Pearl Harbor?
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I don't know if he's I don't know how he's going to do tonight. I was actually at game one when he pitched. He pitched in game one, and I went to that game, and he kind of got lit up early in the game, and we actually came back and won that game. But I think he's going to do better, because going into that game, he actually finished the season off very strong. He was I remember his last 3 starts, he only gave up something like 1 earned run in 19 innings or something. So he was on fire going into the playoffs. So I hope he can regain some of that form. We'll see what happens. But right. Yeah, I could talk about these football games. So I am on the under. I am on the under with this Northwestern and Maryland. Although I think it might have already kicked off, but I just think it's going to be a lower scoring contest. But we don't need to talk. Yeah, we don't need to talk about that one.
You can you can catch it live. You got time. Nobody's
so I mean, if you want to take the under, actually, if somebody scores early here, it might not be a bad idea to go under, because the total is 46. So if somebody does score early, and you can get a live bet, because it'll go up. It'll probably go up to like 49 or 50 if somebody scores early. But I do like the under. I think it's going to be a low scoring contest. Remember, both of these teams, they're in the top 100 in yards per game allowed. right? So I just think points are going to be hard to come by because if you want to look at trends, and Loud, I know you're a big trend guy. So the total's gone under in 6 of Northwestern's last 8 games on the road. So that dates back to last year, obviously, but it just seems like whenever Northwestern goes on the road, they don't bring their offense, right? The game tends to go under the total. So if you want to go in live on Northwestern, Maryland,
did anybody pack the offense? God damn it.
Yeah. They left it at home. They forgot it at home. They just like they forgot Kevin at home in Home Alone, the movie.
Right. Yeah.
They forgot the kid. So I like the under in that game. So in regards to UNLV and Utah State, so the whole NIL situation with that the UNLV
quarterback who left,
Matt Sluka, and he left, and he was promised $100,000, and then it was a handshake deal, and he never got his money, and then he said, "Well, I'm bailing. You don't pay me, I'm leaving." And then what their backup quarterback do? He just started balling out, and they're like, "We don't even need the Sluka kid. Our backup's pretty good, right?" But Utah State, they give up an average of 428 yards and 41 points per game, which is not good. So
that's not good. Did you say?
Yeah, it's definitely not good.
Not good.
And not only that, they gave up 216 on the ground too. So it's just crazy. I mean, this defense is terrible. It's tough to lay 19 on the road. I don't like laying a ton of points on the road, like 19 points on the road. It's almost 3 touchdowns. But I got to do it here, man. I mean, UNLV, they're 10-1. Speaking of trends, they're 10-1 against the number in their last 11 games on the road. We were talking about Northwestern doesn't bring their offense on the road, but UNLV never forgets it, right? So, and also this year, just in regards to this season, UNLV, they're 4-1 versus the number, and Utah State is exactly the opposite. They're 1-4 versus the number. So I think the Rebels show up here. I think they're going to roll. I hate laying that many points on the road, but it's actually kind of funny because this line has not moved. It's been 19 all week, but I still like UNLV over Utah State. I think they're going to get it done.
I've got a crazy line movement in college football we're going to talk about later. And then Utah Utes. Now they have their super quarterback who's always injured back for this game, right?
Right. Cam Rising. Correct.
Right. Cam Rising. And I know this line moved a couple of points. It was like -4, 4.5. Now you're seeing it -6. I actually caught it at -5.5 about 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I wish I'd gotten it at 4.5, but I don't feel terrible at 5.5. Should I?
Yeah, I do think they're going to do well tonight. I like the line movement, first of all, because I got it at 4.
Let me just say, I love the Utes. I love how they play. They seem always prepared. They always play tough, physical. They beat people up. I heard some crazy stat that teams that play the Utes lose their next game 75% of the time.
Yeah. They're gearing up to face the Utes. Exactly.
Because they're so physically beat up by playing Utah that the next week they just don't have it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would concur. Utah's fantastic. I mean, I like them here. I would still lay it up to 5.5 tonight. I think they're going to do very well. They're 8-3 versus the number in their last 11 versus Arizona State specifically. So when these two teams hook up, because you remember they were both, for years they were in the Pac division.
Right.
But when their last 11 games, Utah just always covers. They're 8-3 against the number against the Arizona State Sun Devils. So they've been covering machines versus them. Yes, we get Cam Rising back, which is huge. It's huge because they needed him, man. They were regressing actually without him. Their backup, I think their backup was the brother of their backup was the brother of Zach Johnson or
Wilson.
Zach Wilson. Yeah, Zach Wilson he's on the Broncos now, I believe. But he actually had
another young quarterback that the Jets ruined.
Yeah, exactly. But they needed Cam back because he was starting to do Zach stuff, what Zach does in the NFL. And but here's what's funny. Cam Rising, he's a 7th-year senior. I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of crazy. You can be in
You've
college.
Got 25-year-old quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Football are not unusual now. All right,
absolutely.
We've been dominating the conversation. Christian, I know you always come with some news or information you want us to talk about. What's on your mind?
Well, it's been very dead in the NFL world. Not a lot of trade rumors going around. Honestly, the biggest news right now is that Devontae Adams might not even be on the move. The two biggest teams that were, the interest in them, the Jets and the Saints, are now in a position where if they acquire Devontae Adams, how much of a game changer will he be for the remainder of the season? So, in your opinion, Loud, do you think Devontae Adams stays a Raider? Will he go somewhere aside from the Saints and the Jets? Because teams like the 49ers...
he is getting moved.
Yeah.
The Raiders are not going to get what they wanted.
No.
But that die is cast. I mean, hamstring injury, please. He's not hurt. Yeah. He doesn't want to play for them anymore, and the coach doesn't like him. Remember, he came out and said after a game 2 weeks ago, we got guys on this field making business decisions. Well, we're going to make some business decisions too.
Yeah.
And I think that was directed at Devontae Adams, who missed a few blocks and maybe didn't try as hard as he could. And remember, there's that famous quote of him in one game this year where he came off the field and he said, I got to get the F out of this place or I'm going to lose my life. And he's complaining that he's never been hit as hard as he's getting hit because of how bad the Raiders quarterback play is. So he's gone. The thing is, he's now a distressed asset with a weak market. Yeah. So who knows? You know who I'd love to see him go to? Buffalo.
A team that's way out of the realm for me that I would love to see him go to. I'd love to see him play with Jaden Daniels in Washington. They're 4-1. They're way ahead of their rebuild schedule. Trading for a guy like Devontae could put him over the edge.
I'd love to see him go to New Orleans because I'm a big Derek Carr fan, and I'm just pissed at how all that worked out with him. I mean, if they had not hired Josh McDaniels, if they had kept that interim coach who took him to the playoffs, and then Devontae had come over, man, what a different world it could be. But, football is a cruel bitch, man. It is an ultimate team sport. And like I like to say, if Tom Brady had been drafted by the Cleveland Browns, we would not know who he was because he would have lasted 3 years in the league and he'd be gone. All right, let's talk some college and NFL football bets. I'm going to start with my college bet of the week. This is Army going up against UAB. Army is 5-0. And they are 5-0, crushing people. They won by 40, 50 points last week. It's not unusual that they're doing that this year. UAB is allowing an alarming 36.8 points per game, and they haven't really played any really good teams. And worse for UAB, they are weaker against the run than the pass. What does Army do? They run the ball down your throat. Army is the best rushing team in college football. And Army's defense is allowing a staggeringly low 13 points per game. This line opened UAB at Army minus 18.5. It's now 26.5. And I'm not scared. Wes, Army is going to crush UAB, aren't they?
Yeah, you know what? Is Trent Dilfer still the coach of UAB? I think he is. Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah.
And no, Army is money. And I will tell you a bet that I have made over the past 5-10 years consistently, maybe not every single week, but if the situation warrants it. Army first half is straight money in your pocket because they are a service academy. They are disciplined, and they always start strong. They have a good game plan. These aren't kids out on the street. They aren't out partying. They're kids that are disciplined.
The other team is trying to get used to the triple option attack that they never see.
Yes. Army first half has been a fantastic bet. In fact, Army first half in this game, I would agree with as well. One thing that's interesting about Army and Navy and the whole Army-Navy thing this year, there's a possibility allowed they can actually play, and this would be awesome if it happened. They could play back-to-back weeks if they actually played for the conference championship and then had the traditional Army-Navy game in Philadelphia. I think they have it in Philadelphia every year.
How much would we love to see a service academy in the playoff?
Yeah, unbelievable. It'd be cool. It'd be great to see that game back-to-back. You could
if Army or Navy makes it to the playoff, good luck to whoever draws them, because you are going to play a team with an attack that you never see. And your teams are just not prepared for it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? You haven't practiced against the triple option in 3.5 months, and now you have to, in a week, get ready to face that. I would love to see either one or both.
Yeah, our Army too. I think they're throwing the ball a little this year too, aren't they? If I remember, they're throwing it too. So here's the deal: if they get that running game going, and then you get some play action and get that going too, then that's going to be really tough for the defense to catch up with.
Another college football game I really like, and this is the only other one that I'm really pushing: California, Berkeley at Pitt. Pittsburgh is 5-0 against the spread. They're coming off a double-digit win over North Carolina, which, by the way, I told everybody last week, take Pitt minus the points over North Carolina. Cal was up on the Miami Hurricanes by 21 points at home with College Game Day there, with the national spotlight, and they spit the bit. They lost 39-38 after being up 21 points in the fourth quarter on a touchdown pass with about 8 seconds left in the game. Yeah. They got completely gutted. Now they have to travel across the country on a short week and play Pitt in Pittsburgh, who is 5-0 against the spread. And Pitt is only -3 in that game. I don't see how Cal recovers emotionally, physically, mentally in time to go play Pitt at home.
I would let me just say that I do over at winnersandwhiners.com. I do have a play behind the paywall on this game, right. but without giving anything away, I will say that this is a very difficult spot for Cal.
There we go. Christian, jump in here. Give us some NFL thoughts.
NFL, okay, going ahead. We got the first game of the week going ahead. Jaguars at Bears, +1 Jags. Any opinions on that?
I've got a premium play on it. Can't talk about it. Wes? I like the games, by the way. I hate them because Thursday night football and foreign games, I generally don't bet because you get really strange outcomes. Go ahead, Wes. I'm sorry.
I do. I lean Jacksonville here, and I'm probably going to have them in some teaser legs because it's just as far as personal betting. I do a lot of teasers, especially in NFL. I do not tease college football. I would recommend that nobody tease college football. It's a losing
because the point spreads are so big.
Yes, and the NFL, you can make money teasing the NFL, and Jacksonville probably will be in a couple teaser legs of mine. I'm going to take them up. They're +1, +1.5, depending on the book. You take them, you can get them, tease them up above the number of 7, right, up to 7.5 or 8, which is huge for teasers.
Right.
Yep. Next game going ahead, we have the Washington Commanders +6.5 at the Ravens.
Oh, is this going to be a fun game to watch? I really hope so, Wes.
It's the two highest scoring offenses, the number 1 run defense versus the number 1 run offense. Two great mobile quarterbacks. And my pick for this game, I'm going to ride my train with Washington as long as they keep me +6.5.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I have actually a lot of plays, and I have more plays than usual this week in the NFL. So a lot of these games I won't have an opinion, at least for the show. But I will say that we do get 2 Heisman Trophy winners here facing off too. Right. Remember, Lamar and Jaden Daniels both won the Heisman.
I want to point a couple trend things out. I love looking at teams that are covering versus teams that aren't covering. In the NFL right now, Vikings are 5-0 against the spread. Commanders 4-1 against the spread. And here are 2 really interesting ones that I don't think people would think of. The Colts and the Broncos are both 4-1 against the spread.
Yeah. The Colts are a tough team to figure out, man. And I've said this on a couple other shows this week. It's kind of funny because, Joe Flacco's the backup, obviously. Anthony Richardson's the starter. But if you look at
they're going to put Flacco on the bench, and let me just point this out. Anthony Richardson has the lowest passer rating in the NFL among 32 quarterbacks with enough pass attempts to qualify. Joe Flacco ranked
number one.
first.
Yeah, I was going to tell you that you just took the words literally out of my mouth. That's the exact stat I was going to give you. And let me tell you something. They need to give the clipboard to Anthony Richardson for the year. Let him learn from Joe, okay? Because Joe's clearly the better quarterback for this year, okay? Not the future, just this year. And you're going to get the locker room back if you're Shane Steichen because they want to win. They're not going to win with Anthony Richardson right now. They could win with Flacco. They could have a good year, let Richardson learn from Flacco, and, let him start next year. But he's not ready to play.
Apparently, they're not going to do that.
Yeah. No, I mean, did you hear that Richardson's actually starting? Because the last I heard, Flacco was actually still going to start.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then I'm hearing two different things.
Okay.
And better.
I'm going to look it up. I'm going to look it up right now while we're on the show.
Okay. So anybody.
They still haven't released it. Who's starting?
Oh, really?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So anybody who's betting on this game, who's thinking about betting on this game, do not bet on this game until you know who's starting.
Yeah.
If it's Flacco, it's the Titans. If it's Richardson, no, I'm sorry. If it's Flacco, it's the Colts. If it's Richardson, it's the Titans.
I would agree. I do. I will say, though, I like the under in this game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game.
It's a rock fight.
Yeah, the Titans have a really good defense. So I like the under here.
Buccaneers at Saints. I'm a Saints fan. I'm a Derek Carr fan. I generally do not place bets or give advice on teams that I'm a fan of. I think that's a rookie mistake that square bettors make. What is it? The sportsbook manager Scott coined a phrase that is so good when he was on the show a few weeks ago. When a guy comes in and he bets on the team that's on his sweatshirt, I'm not worried.
So you're telling me I should not have released the Dodgers tonight then?
I'm just saying that's, me personally, when I'm emotionally attached to something, I don't think I see it clearly. Yeah. So I leave it alone. But I'll tell you this, the Saints offensive line is screwed. The guy they're starting at center was on the Giants practice squad a week ago. Their interior line is decimated. Their right tackle position is a joke. Their left tackle is a rookie. Now, he's been playing good, but look at what has happened to the Saints. They scored 44 and 41 points in week 1 and 2. Since then, their average is 12. And since then, what happened? Taysom Hill went out, and their offensive line basically got destroyed. Yeah. Now they have to take on the Saints, who, by the way, have won the last 2 games they've played against New Orleans in the Dome. They have no fear of the Saints at all. Baker Mayfield can get hot. And they're starting Spencer Rattler, the Saints are, who, given his college resume, I have no belief in whatsoever.
Yeah.
I'm really worried the Saints are going to get boat raced in this game.
Yeah, a couple interesting just observations from me. Number one, Tampa comes off that loss to Atlanta, right? That shootout in Atlanta, and that was Thursday. So now they've had about 10 days to prepare for this game. Number one, number two, because of that hurricane down in Tampa, they were displaced and they actually flew to New Orleans, I think Monday or Tuesday. So they've been kind of just chilling there, working maybe at a college nearby, practicing there. So they're going to already be acclimated to New Orleans, so to speak. And yeah, I like, just because of all the reasons you referenced, Loud, I kind of like Tampa to actually, like you said, boat race New Orleans this week.
Lions, Cowboys, Christian.
Lions, Cowboys. What's the spread on that? I'm looking for it.
Should be 3 and 52.
Yeah, -3. It's a rematch from last season. I think the Lions take back and get a little bit of revenge. So -3 Lions on this game. Pretty simple.
I like it too. The Lions. They're coming off the bye, so they've been getting ready for this game for 2 weeks now. And Dallas, they did not look good against Pittsburgh. Remember,
and boy, are the Lions pissed at the Cowboys?
Last year, the whole offensive lineman and everything, and that whole thing last year. Yeah, they want to beat them. And not only that, Dallas, they were 1 for 4 in the red zone. They got to fix their red zone offense because the only touchdown they scored was that Tony Pollard touchdown at the end of the game. So, I mean, they have offensive issues. Not only that, I think DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons still might be out too. So,
yeah, Micah Parsons out. DeMarcus Lawrence is questionable.
And there's a third starting linebacker that I saw earlier today out for the Cowboys. He got injured in the walkthrough.
God.
Of course he did.
I mean, so their defense is terribly compromised. The Bengals and the Giants, my God, what the hell happened to the Bengals?
And it's so bad because Joe Burrow is playing like an MVP this year.
Yeah.
It's the defense behind him isn't there, and it's been a very rough year for them.
Yeah, and he got paid. He got paid a lot of money, so he's not going to ask out anytime soon. They're married to each other for a little while.
So the Giants had that great game against Seattle last week and won.
Yeah.
But the Giants are still going to be without. I just saw
1 minute
earlier today, that great rookie wide receiver. So they're plus 3.5 at home against a Bengals team that everybody expected to be better. Wes, 30 seconds or less this game.
I like the over. The Bengals defense is terrible. I think the Giants are going to, if Danny Dimes is going to have a great game, it's going to be this game on Sunday night. And, it's in New York. He's going to want to ball out. They want to go 3-3. They actually can get to 3-3, which, I mean, for the Giants, you would take that all day long, right? Yeah. And the Bengals are going to do Bengals thing. They're going to move the ball. I like the over. I think there's a lot of points here.
Fascinating game. Go ahead, Christian.
I like the Giants plus 3.5 in this game. I think the Bengals' woes continue.
Fascinating game Monday night. We'll talk about it on Betting in the Break on Saturday night and Sunday night. Lou Desmond here, Loud Desmond, and Christian Giordani, Sniper West. This has been Steer the Line. Thanks, everybody.